Hi everyone, Zero here from MCS. I'm here to teach you the ins and outs of Adobe Premiere Pro. Hey, wait, before then, let's run my intro. Welcome back. Do you know that when you want to edit a very cool video in Adobe Premiere Pro and your workspace is really a mess, you can even get frustrated and unmotivated because of that? Well, let me tell you this. I found a very unique way to organize workspaces in Adobe Premiere Pro to aid your workflow become very easy. To get started, Adobe Premiere Pro has already provided us with some default workspaces we can work with. These workspaces are pretty cool, but then if you are someone who wants more like me and you really want to edit or organize your own workspace, then all you need to do is, in Adobe Premiere Pro, hover your mouse cursor to any project panel or any panel on your workspace and then drag from its old position to a different position. By so doing, you have your new workspace organized. Whilst organizing your workspace, let's say you accidentally cancelled or closed a panel you really needed to use. All you want to do is reset your project panel or reset your panel back to normal. All you want to do is hover your mouse cursor to Windows on your menu bar, then Workspaces, and then reset to saved layout. Boom, then our old layout is back. We can work with that too, but then if you still insist on creating a new workspace, then the platform is yours. After we have been able to create or organize our own workspace, we need to save the workspace in order to be used in the future when we are back in Adobe Premiere Pro to work. Let's save our newly organized workspace by hovering our mouse cursor to Windows on our menu bar, Workspaces, and then save as new workspace. Let's rename our workspace to I'm gonna rename this Zero Workspace and then hit enter. There we have our new workspace saved. This workspace can be used anytime you come back into Adobe Premiere Pro to work, or you can choose to go with Adobe Premiere Pro already given default workspaces. Now let's get into the real deal. The real deal I mean is importing and exporting footages into Adobe Premiere Pro. Importing footages into Adobe Premiere Pro can be done in many ways. I'm going to be covering almost all today, with the one I usually use the most. Firstly, the most obvious way of importing footages into Adobe Premiere Pro is by hovering your mouse cursor to File, and then down here you can find Import. You hit on Import. If you're a Mac user, your Finder will pop out. If you are a Windows user, your Files Explorer would pop out. Scan to your Files Explorer or Mac Finder and then select the video you want to import into Adobe Premiere Pro. Double click on that video to import, or just right click once and then click Import down here. Good. Let's get to the next way of importing footages into Adobe Premiere Pro, of which is my favorite way of importing footages. All I need to do is press Ctrl I on my keyboard. If you're a Windows user, you need to press Ctrl I. It's all the same as Command I if you're a Mac user. Then my Finder opens once again, and then I select the video I need to import into Adobe Premiere Pro. This is another way of importing footages into Adobe Premiere Pro. In your projects panel, you need to double click on Import New Project, and then the same procedure once again. Your File Explorer pops up, and then you scan through and get your video and then save. Another way of importing into Adobe Premiere Pro is by your media browser. You click on that in your projects panel, and then you hover around and look for the appropriate video or footage you want to import into Adobe Premiere Pro, and then you get it done. Now that you can import videos into Adobe Premiere Pro, it's time to create timelines in Adobe Premiere Pro. In Adobe Premiere Pro, to create a timeline, you need to create a sequence first. So you come down here where you can find new item and then sequence. Actually, Adobe Premiere Pro has given us a whole lot of presets, sequence presets we can choose from. So you can just hover around and then look for the sequence that fits or is okay for the video you have to edit or you want to edit. And then down here in the pop-up menu, you rename the sequence if it's needed to. I always do because I need to keep my stuff like unique. So I'm going to save this as 0 sequence and then hit enter, and then boom, and then we are back into our workspace where we can create our timeline. To create a timeline is pretty easy. All you need to do is drag the footage from your project panel into your timeline panel. That's what I called it. I don't know how you're gonna call it though, but then it is what it is. And then you keep dragging and dragging and dragging and dragging. In your timeline section, you can find V1, V2, V3. All these are name tags for your tracks, your timeline tracks. You can add up more tracks if you need to. And down to you can find A1, A2, A3. These are also tracks, timeline tracks for audios. The more you import videos or the more you create timelines with sounds, the sounds are going to be showing down in this A1, A2 tracks. We're not just going to be enjoying the dragging. You'd have to arrange the timeline in order to fit what you are doing so that they don't interfere into other people's businesses. Did I just say that? Well, let's move on. In the timeline is where all the magic happens in video editing. With the help of the tools right beside the timeline panel, I'll be covering the use of all the tools in videos upcoming in the future. But for now, let's focus on the timeline. On the left side of the timeline panel, you can see these things that look like an eye. When I close one eye, literally it can see. So immediately I close this eye on, let's say, the first track. Anything, any footage, picture that is located in the first track automatically gets off. It automatically gets out of sight. Same applies when I hit the M signature on the audio track. Any audio located in the track I've turned off automatically doesn't sound when I play the video I am editing. Also, the horizontal bar beneath our track or our timeline panel is responsible for hovering around our timeline, and also dragging your mouse at the tip of the horizontal line to your far right is going to render your timeline becoming very small, and then the other way is going to be vice versa. Same applies to the vertical line on the right side of our timeline panel. Also, in your timeline panel, we can choose to duplicate footages if needed to. You can do that by selecting the footage you want to duplicate, press Ctrl C to copy, and move to an empty space where there isn't any footage timeline, and then press Ctrl V. Also, you can duplicate footages in the timeline panel by holding down Alt and then dragging your selected footage to where there isn't any footage. From here, we can play the video we are editing by hitting spacebar on our keyboard, and then you can stop the video from playing by hitting space on the keyboard once again. As of now, if you have been able to sit your ass down and then follow all the steps I have been tutoring here, kudos. To end this video, I'm going to teach you how to export your edited video from Adobe Premiere Pro to your File Explorer or your Map Finder. Hover your keyboard to File and look for Export and then Media. After clicking on Media, you realize you have a pop-up message or pop-up information on your screen. Because I am using a Mac, my interface is going to be a bit different from you if you are using a Windows machine, but then it's literally the same. You can choose to change the name of the video you have edited here, and then edit the location you want your video to be exported to, and the preset you want your video to be exported in, the format of your video, and some other skirmishes if you. As of now, we would hit export to export our video, but then in the future I'm going to be explaining much about the presets and then the formats of saving videos. Thank you for being with me. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you really did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and then hit the notification bell to receive notification anytime I post a video. Thank you for coming this far. See you in the next episode. Peace out.